So what is a tax filing status? Well, tax filing status is a concept relevant to income taxation under the Internal Revenue Code and at state levels, state taxation pursuant to state law. Well, to start with, your tax status is generally used for several purposes. Number one, to determine how to calculate whether you're required to file taxes and specific deduction or exemption amounts that are applicable to you in calculating the amount of taxes that you owe. It will also be used to determine your eligibility for certain credits or deductions available under the tax code or under state law. And then it's used, it has different measures or multiples or thresholds or limits for the calculation of the actual taxes that you owe pursuant to the rules. Now, there are generally three separate tax filing statuses identified under the Internal Revenue Code. The very first is based upon your marital status. Okay, so you can file as a single individual, a single taxpayer. You can file as a married taxpayer where you are filing a joint income tax return with your spouse, or you can file as married filing separately, and that's where you have a spouse but you will be filing an individual income tax return and they will as well. The reason for this status is that you share in many of the deductions available. Now, the next filing status or category is based upon who supports the individual's lives in the household or who pays the household expenses. The first is known as head of household, and this is generally an individual or single tax filer who pays the majority of expenses for maintaining or upkeep of the household, which includes dependent members of your family or other dependent members of the household. So you are the primary earner and or the primary payor of these expenses. And again, it affects things such as your deduction amounts and things like that. Okay, but you are filing as the head of a household with dependent family members. Okay, next would be qualified widower. And once again, you are paying the cost of the home, but again, you are a single individual filing based upon your status as the primary payer or earner in the household. And then lastly is status as non-resident alien. Basically, you do not qualify under the other statuses because there are specific deductions and exemptions that are available for resident aliens and citizens that are not available to non-resident aliens and citizens. So there's a completely different set of exemptions, deductions that may or may not be applicable there. So these are the three tax filing statuses that are used to compute these various components of an individual's income tax liability.